Hello Libra, welcome to my channel. It is an absolute blessing and such a pleasure to be here with you. So thank you for being here with me for your November 2023 Tarotscope. In the description box below, you will find links to all sorts of goodies, including my social media, information on personal readings, and information on donations if you would like to explore any of those options, but no pressure. You will also find a timestamp if you would like to jump to the start of your reading. Please do keep in mind that this is a collective reading, not a personal reading, so take only what resonates with you and leave the rest. Please do not make something your story and create more healing for yourself if it isn't yours. November is a universal 9-month, which certainly prepares us for endings of all kinds. It is also symbolic of sacrifice and service. So we're being called to bring light and joy to those who need it most. The month is positive overall, and certainly the endings that we may be experiencing can bring some sadness, but I feel like it's important to remember that where one door closes, another opens. So for this month, we are going to be looking at the overall energy for you, what you are sacrificing, how you can be of service, and we're going to be getting some advice that will best support and serve you moving forward. So let's jump in, Libra, and see what's going on this month for you. Please, Father, Mother, Life, Universe, Spirits, Guides, Angels, our cosmic team, our ancestors, our higher selves, tell us about the overall energy of November 2023 for Libra, please. Wow, that was fast. Thank you. Tell us about what Libra is sacrificing, please. Tell us about what Libra is sacrificing, please. Okay. Tell us about how Libra can be of service, please. Okay, thank you. Tell us, please, what advice will best support and serve Libra moving forward. Okay, thank you. We are working with with several decks this month, so I do appreciate your patience. Tell us more, please, about the overall energy of November 2023 for Libra. Thank you. Tell us more, please, about what Libra is sacrificing this month. All right, thank you. Tell us more, please. Okay, thank you. Tell us more, please. All right. Wow, you guys are chatty. Okay. What else do we need to know about the all right. Wow. What else do we need to know about what Libra is sacrificing, please? What else do we need to know about what Libra is sacrificing, please? What else do we need to know, please, about what Libra is sacrificing? Okay, thank you. What else do we need to know, please, about how Libra can be of service? All right. And what advice will best support Libra moving forward? What else do we need to know about that, please? Yep, thank you. Okay, anything we need to know or may have missed in regards to the overall energy of November 2023 for Libra? Anything else we need to know or may have missed, please? Overall, too many cards. Let's try again. Nice, clear message. And, okay. I feel like I need to take this one. Anything else? Yep, thank you. Anything else we need to know or may have missed about how Libra can be of service? Yeah, I thought so. Thank you. Anything else we need to know or may have missed, please, about the advice that I heard the word bottom. So I'm going to take the one that's at the bottom. All right, here we go. So before we dive in, Libra, I just want to share with you that as I was shuffling the tarot, preparing for your reading, I did see the King of Swords and the Judgment card, both upright and side by side. And I feel as though there's something here about honesty and having this honest assessment of yourself this month. So certainly take what resonates with you, discern for yourself if that is something that, you know, is needed for your own journey and unfolding. But I do feel like there's something that's coming through for you, Libra, where there is, how do I say, you're being asked to be very, very honest with yourself and to assess yourself honestly. Okay. Certainly this could be a period of reflection for you. This could be a period of awakening to new truths. But, you know, again, it's very much this, how do I say, I'm all about following your heart. I'm all about following your soul. But I feel like sometimes we do that and don't realize that we are moving, or how do I say this? Let me back up a little bit. Sometimes we feel like we're moving from our heart, but we're really moving from our wounding, our trauma. Okay. And I feel as though this month for you is putting you in a space where, if this resonates with you, where you are being asked to be very honest with yourself, to really ask, am I really, really moving, you know, from a place of my truth, my heart, or am I moving from a place that I think is my heart, but is really my wounding? Okay. I don't know who that's for. Maybe it's someone very specific, but it really does feel like you need to be very, very honest with yourself about things in your life. Okay. Again, take it as it resonates. Maybe you've had new information come in. Maybe you're awakening to something, but there it is. All right. So the overall energy of November for you, Libra, you have the Seas of Mintanka, seeing potential, bringing unconsciousness to light. Yeah, so it's very interesting how I was picking up on a similar energy already, bringing unconsciousness to light. In other words, bringing truth forward, bringing the things, you know, if you're moving from, let's say, your wounding or trauma or programming or whatever it is, you know, that may not be something that you are consciously aware of or have consciously been aware of. But I feel as though you're being asked to dive deep this month and really see things for what they are. It's kind of like filtering through your emotions. I don't know how to explain this. And I'm really hoping this makes sense, because I know, Libra, that you are an air energy. And typically, air energy tends to be very logical, right? I feel as though there is some situation, again, for those of you who resonate with this, where you have been being more led by your emotions, and some of you, those emotions are linked to your trauma, wounding, programming, something of that nature, which has been playing, if you will, or operating from the background. So I don't feel like this is something you would be fully aware of, or maybe you haven't been, or I mean, maybe you are and you just are doing it anyway. But it feels like there's something that's been almost playing the puppet master in the background, and you have been moving from that place, thinking it's your heart, thinking it's your truth, but it actually isn't. It's not my story, and I'm just the messenger. So, you know, again, take what resonates. But I feel that there's something else that could be being offered to you that maybe you aren't seeing the potential in. So it almost feels to me as though there's two things going on here. One thing I feel like is connected to that wounding and trauma, and you know, that I feel like this is what's best for me. But there's something over here that has potential that I feel you've been kind of had blinders onto because you've been so focused on whatever this is. Okay? And it seems to me that this is where this assessment, this deep honesty is coming in, where you're being given the opportunity to move, how do I say, to choose something that actually is better for you, that has far more potential for you, you know, opportunities for you to grow, to learn, to find fulfillment, to become, you know, your most favorite version of yourself, just to get more in alignment with it, what is actually true for you. So I do feel as though, you know, the overall energy is really trying to bring these things forward and is asking you to see it for what it is. Okay. You have here, ooh, King of Cups. This is very interesting because you have all this water energy, which I find to be really, really fascinating, because there is a lot of this emotional kind of energy coming up, a lot of feelings that are coming up. The King of Cups is a very wise kind of energy. And what's really interesting about it is that the King of Cups has this balance between his head and his heart space. And he moves from a place of balance, from a place of emotional control. And I feel as though, again, this is what you're being asked to do, to kind of, for lack of better terms, put your emotions in check. Bring balance to your head and your heart. Okay? And to, again, to really, I feel like the best way to put this is to sink into your intuition and be honest. Your intuition is that fast. Okay? There is no hesitation. There is no pause. There is no what if. Your hesitation, or excuse me, your intuition is just boom, there it is. This is the thing. This is what you need to know. It is our wounding, our trauma, our lower egoic drives that bring about that hesitation, that bring about those questions, that bring about the but, the pause, right? So I feel as though this is really asking you to trust your intuition, to bring these things forward and allow them to move you, whatever that looks like. This can be, you know, change of thought. This can be physical movement from one place to another, or from one situation to another. But I feel as though there's a need to get in touch with that part of yourself, to not let, you know, either your head or your heart have full control. It's more about bringing balance between the two. And again, for some of you, I feel intuitively that you have been leading more with your emotions, but I feel again that if this is true for you, this is coming from a place of your trauma and wounding, where you have been believing that it is, like, believing it's your truth, which I just want to lovingly say, in my own experience, there was a time where I thought I knew myself, and I was dead set on that. But once I started uncovering my wounds, my trauma, my programming, I realized that yes, there were bits that were me, but a lot of the way I was moving was from that place of wounding, of trauma, okay? And it's a whole different story when you get really, really honest with yourself and sit with truth. So I'm not saying this to pass any kind of judgment or anything like that. I've definitely been there. But I just feel as though this is one of those months where you're being asked to sit with truth, to sit with your intuition, and to let that truth, that intuitive guidance, that inner wisdom, shed light on some things that you may not have been seeing clearly. Okay. You also have, interesting, this card has shown up for almost every reading, not every reading, but nearly. You have Lemuria, creating heaven on earth. It's happening. I think it's fascinating that you have more water here yet again. But I feel as though, so if you're somebody who watches Sun, Moon, Rising, and you've watched some of the other readings, you may be like, okay, this is like the same message. She said this a lot, but you know, I go based on my intuition and what I feel most of the time. So there's this energy coming through of, or the message, right, of, I believe that heaven is not a place. It's not somewhere that you go. Heaven is within you. The kingdom of heaven is within you, and you have the opportunity to create that within yourself and to live in it while you are here on earth. Okay? And you accomplish that. I mean, depending on who you ask, certainly it's going to sound different. But from my perspective, you accomplish that by unifying with your truth, with your soul, with your heart inside of you. You do that by unifying with the Christ impulse or Christ consciousness within you. This is not coming from a religious place. Please know that. I mean, if that's your thing, perfectly fine. No judgment here. But it is that Christ consciousness within you. You align with that within you. You face your fears, your trauma, your wounding, these things, and unify. Bring the bits of yourself that have scattered in the things you've experienced back home. I hope that makes sense. And I feel like this is why this is unfolding the way it is. Okay, to bring this to your attention, to show you where there's that imbalance, where there is something that is not in alignment with that, creating that heaven within you. Okay, so I feel like it's interesting how the it's happening is coming through as this is why this is happening. In other Tarotscopes, it's come through more as like it's happening, things are moving in the background. But in your case, Libra, it's coming through as this is why it's happening, to put you in a position to create that heaven within yourself so that you are able to move and live from a more unified space within, right? A more loving space within, a more peaceful space within. But again, in order to accomplish that, we have to face our darkness. We have to face our shadows. We have to align with ourselves, with truth, with love for others and for ourselves. We have to purify our heart, if you will. And so I feel like this is part of that for you. Let's see what else you have. You also have dance with life. Do something different to change your energy. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I feel like this is very much calling to your attention how, so you may have been in this space recently. Again, please only take this if it resonates, but you may have been in this space recently where things maybe haven't seemed to go the way that you want them to, or you expect them to, or maybe you're somebody who has, you know, been asking yourself like why certain things are happening, or why things seem to be unsteady maybe, or unstable, or chaotic, or something of that nature. And I feel it's because, again, you're being positioned to kind of shake free from whatever illusions or, you know, untruths that you've been aligned with. I feel like that shaking, that conflict, you know, whatever, however it's manifesting, I feel as though it's coming to kind of shake things up. So you are put in a position where you can see things for what they are, should you choose to do that, and do something different, right? To change the energy. And I don't, it really does keep bringing me back to emotions for whatever reason. And in this card here, you do have the moon in the background there, if you can see that, which again, the moon is an energy of, how do I say? It's an energy of the unconscious. It's an energy of illusions, of unclarity. It is an energy of, I mean, it can be certainly of your intuition as well. So I feel like it's like hitting all the points that we've already talked about. And I feel like this is your opportunity to pivot. This is your opportunity to gain that clarity and to do something differently, right? To dance with life, to observe and see where life is trying to take you, right? Seeing the potential, but it's your choice. Okay. It is always your choice. It will always be your choice. You don't have to do anything differently if you don't want to, but I feel like the opportunity is there for you if you feel like things maybe have been going awry, or have, you know, kind of been I don't know why I'm getting this word. This is not a word I use normally, but disheveled. I don't even know. Maybe that's something someone listening has said or something. I don't know. Yeah, you have here, Akasha, your guidance is divinely guided, because I feel as though, again, like I was saying, your intuition is, I feel like it's pushing it through. I feel like your intuition, for some of you, I feel like you probably already know what this thing is. You probably already know, because there's been a lot of, like I said, shaking around whatever this thing is for you. Okay, where you are not or struggling to move from truth, from, you know, what is actually there. And I feel as though your intuition has been trying to point it out to you. For some of you, I feel like you know, which is why this card is showing up, because I feel it's confirming that for you, saying, hey, this is divinely guided. This is coming from a place of divine truth. And though you may not like it, you may not want to see it, it's still there. It doesn't make it any less true. Okay? I'm feeling called to read from the guidebook for you for this card. So I will do that. Let me find it here. Give me just a moment. I don't think these are in, some of these are not in alphabetic order, I don't think. Maybe they are. Maybe I just missed it. Some of these books, the cards are not in alphabetical order, and it can be kind of hard to find. So I do appreciate your patience. Oh, sorry, guys. I was looking in the wrong book. That's why I couldn't find it. Okay. Oh, silly. Oh, wow. I just got an interesting message. So I'm a firm believer in nothing comes from nothing. And, you know, I was just looking in the wrong book for something, 2202 or 222 on the clock. I think it's interesting how things work out, okay? Because I was just looking in the wrong book, and I got this message for you of like you've been looking in the wrong place, or seeing potential in the wrong place. Again, just the messenger. All right, so it says here, hopefully you can see that, Akasha exists in the 5th dimension and the library of souls. All soul contracts, history, gifts, lessons, and more exist here. We each have access to this information of the past, present, and future, and can tap into it at any time. While we have free will, there are also points on the timeline of our lives that are predestined or pre-planned. Soul contracts or agreements that were made before incarnating. It could be a company you choose to work for, a relationship you planned to have, or a person you agreed to mentor or help. Whatever it is, know that it is divinely guided and will not pass you, or excuse me, will not bypass you. If you are waiting for a sign to proceed, this card is it. You are likely living out an important part of your soul's journey, and you are exactly where you need to be. This is very exciting indeed. It is a time to call in the support of your helpers, both in the physical realm and the spirit world, to trust the signs coming, to take note of your dreams, to notice any feelings or visions that you receive, for you are tapping into the wisdom of the Akasha and are being given the go-ahead to proceed. So as I was reading that, I got some fear coming up, because for some of you, I feel like you've been hoping that whatever this is isn't true, or have been, how would I say, you would prefer if the things that you're, you know, being made aware of or awakening to are not that. Okay? So for example, if for some reason, I'm just going to say, you know, because we're dealing with a lot of watery kind of energy here, let's say this is about a relationship and you've been getting signs that maybe this isn't what's best for you, but you have invested a lot of time and energy into this relationship. And, you know, certainly maybe you have feelings there as well. And I feel as though, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't want that to be true. Like, this person is it for me. right? I've put so much time and so much energy here. I love this person, or I care for this person. You know, this is just a rough patch, whatever the story may be. You know, again, this is just an example, but I feel as though it's one of those things where it's like, I don't want that to be true. So I do feel like some of you have been kind of pushing that off. Again, like I said, I felt like some of you were maybe aware of this, but that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. You have here as well, your pillar of light, your vibration is rising. You are the oracle. Now, what I find to be really interesting about this energy is we were just talking about the Akasha and, you know, about how, you know, that's where your gifts are. And it's interesting that you are the oracle is now coming up, because I feel as though, you know, that connection that you have with source, universe, God, whatever you call it, I call it God, is coming through. Right? It is coming through. And so I feel like, again, it's interesting how on this side of the card over here, there's this energy of bringing unconsciousness to light is the sentence before, you know, we go to the next card, where your guidance is divinely guided. And we continue on, your vibration is rising, you are the oracle. So I do feel like on this side, there's this energy of like confirmation. It's coming through as, hey, this is confirmation for you. Again, if you resonate with this, I feel like this is, you know, that neon sign flashing, if you will, for some. For others of you, I feel as though, again, this is trying to put you in a position where you are more in alignment with what is true for you. It's trying to raise your vibration. It's trying to bring you to a place where you're more unified within, where you're more connected with your truth, where you are shaking off, if you will, some of those lower drives or lower frequencies or lower tendencies. And that certainly can come through in thought patterns, behavior patterns, habits, again, trauma, wounding, programming. And again, I feel like there's this, it's like the way I'm seeing it in my mind is almost like if you were just like shaking all willy-nilly, right? I feel like that's what's trying to happen. Like you're trying to shake free, or your higher self is trying to shake you free from these lower things and to raise you. Okay? For some of you, whatever situation this is, where you've been kind of dragging your feet on it, if you will, or denying it, or whatever the case may be, I feel as though this is trying to free you from that, because I feel like it's almost like this weight that's holding you back. You do have seeing potential, and I feel as though you have more potential than maybe what you're recognizing within yourself. And whatever this is that you may be holding on to is really kind of anchoring you into this place you're in, where you're not able to see that. And I feel like, again, it's almost like you're in a position to be shaken free from that, so that you can rise to see your true potential, to step into your true potential. So it's a very interesting kind of energy here. Okay, you have here we stand, by Hidden Citizens featuring Circina. And the lyrics for you are, we were chosen to be the new beginning, though the sun surrendered its last light. This age, as we know, is ending, but we're ready. We've waited for this time. Here we stand at the Genesis as the world is awakening. A new day will start again. Here we stand at the Genesis. And I feel as though this is really speaking to, I mean, a few things actually, but I feel like it's speaking to the fact that we are in this universal 9-month where we're experiencing or preparing for endings of all kinds. And I feel as though there's this energy, but we're ready, because I do feel like you are ready. You would not have these things coming forward into your experience if you weren't prepared and ready to deal with them, to face them, to navigate them. And I feel as though, you know, timing, they're, again, divinely guided, right? Everything is happening for a reason. I also feel like there's a nod here because it says, you know, as the world is awakening. And I had this energy coming in when I shared what I did about the Judgment card, how you may be awakening to new things. And I feel like that you are part of this, right? You are part of this. And I feel like this is meant to be moving you into a space of a new beginning or a genesis where things are changing for you and moving for you. But again, you have to acknowledge the potential that you hold within yourself. Seeing potential. You are the oracle. We were chosen. In other words, you know, seeing the potential that you truly have, recognizing that within yourself and believing in it. Knowing that whatever it is that manifests for you and whatever you may face, you have the capability, the capacity to move through. You have all of the tools you need in order to navigate that and to move into something better. Okay. So what are you sacrificing, Libra? This, you know, often we hear that word sacrifice and we kind of cringe. But this is a different kind of sacrifice, right? You know, things like Jesus or sacrificing your life or, you know, the life of something may come to mind, but that's not necessarily what I'm speaking on here. This is more about what are you giving up? Okay, a pattern, a behavior, something. What are you giving up in order to move into a new way of being? In order to experience yourself and the world and life differently? In order to grow and evolve, right? So you have here first perspective. None of this matters. Zoom out. Common ground. Very interesting. Okay, so I've been fascinated by how these energies have come through in this section of the reading because we're looking at sacrifices and, you know, some may take these things very literal. Like, what are you sacrificing? You're sacrificing, you know, I don't know, whatever's come through in that portion. In some cases, it's been like adventure and saying yes. Like, we're not sacrificing adventure. We're not sacrificing saying yes. But in your case, you know, you do have perspective here. And I do feel like you're sacrificing the perspective that you are currently in. Because it feels like when I see it in my mind, it's like tunnel vision, right? I said earlier, you've had kind of, it feels like you've had kind of blinders on. And I feel like the position, or rather what you're sacrificing, is that perspective. It is pulling yourself out of that perspective, you know, opening up to something different, zooming out. It's really, really fascinating to me because it feels as though wherever you've been sitting, it's been comfortable. And even if it's caused you discomfort or pain or struggle or whatever the case is, I feel as though it's comfortable. You've learned how to navigate in that space, which is common, okay? Like, you are not alone in this, I promise you. Many, many people, myself included, get comfortable in their pain because they know how to move there. Okay? They know how to navigate it. They know how to live and survive in that pain. But outside of that is the unknown. You don't know how to move there. You don't know how to survive there. You don't know what that's going to be like. And so, you know, a lot of times people will get comfortable and just stay. Because it's familiar. And, you know, I feel as though this is one of those times where you are being put in a position to sacrifice that perspective, to sacrifice that comfort, and to see things differently. To see things much, much differently. And, you know, I know that it says none of this matters here on this card. And in the grant, I don't know that I necessarily agree with that, but I feel as though the way that it's coming through here is the things that you are clinging to have less, how do I say this? I want to be very delicate about this and very tactful, so I apologize it's taking me a minute, but I want to be intentional as well. I don't want to just, you know, be all willy-nilly with my words. It feels like whatever it is you may be clinging to, that may be something that doesn't have as much potential in your life as something else. And there's this energy of when you're standing nose to nose, if you will, with a certain situation or a problem or, you know, whatever it may be, it can be very difficult to see anything outside of that. All you can see is what you're standing nose to nose with. You know, for some, this may be a struggle or a challenge or a fear or whatever. But if you were able to zoom out, okay, then you could see the path forward or see something different. So, you know, just as an example, you know, if you're a little tiny person, you're this little tiny turtle, if you can see that, as this little guy, and this is your, you know, the thing, the fear, the whatever it is, you can't see that there's a path forward, okay, until you rise above it. I hope that makes sense, because I feel like this is the position that you're in. And again, you're sacrificing that position that you've been in to see it differently. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. You have as well surrender to the sweetness, Venus energy, pleasure, joy, make love to life. Yeah, you know, it's very interesting to me, Libra, because first of all, you are ruled by Venus. So I find that to be fascinating, because I feel as though, you know, you have this energy of surrender. And I feel like this is that sacrifice. This is the sacrifice as well. You know, part of that is to surrender, to let go of your fear, to let go of, you know, doubt and confusion and the things that have positioned you in such a way where maybe you don't feel like joy and sweetness and, you know, harmony and balance and these sorts of things are for you. Maybe you don't feel like love is for you, or maybe you don't feel deserving, or maybe you feel like something, you know, it feels very much to me as though there's a fear of things going right, or there's a sense of disbelief that things can go right, or things can unfold in a way that is going to bring you to a space where you do love life, where you find it to be fulfilling. You know what I'm saying? Where things just feel more harmonious and balanced, you know, creating that more of that like heaven on earth kind of feeling. So I do feel as though, you know, the surrender itself is what you are sacrificing. You know, do you know what I'm saying? Because I feel, again, that's scary. That's scary. So I feel, you know, there's this sacrificing of control. There's this sacrificing of knowing, this sacrificing of comfort. Okay? It feels as though as well, it's interesting that this Venus energy is showing up, because I'm getting a kind of flip on this. Because I feel as though, again, because you are ruled by Venus, it almost feels as though staying where you are is a sacrifice of self, right? Staying comfortable is a sacrifice of self. And I don't mean that in the, you know, in a literal sense, in a physical sense, but I mean it in a more spiritual sense. I mean it more in like your heart, your soul, your truth, right? If you remain where you are and refuse to surrender, and you remain resistant or unmovable, I feel as though there's a surrendering of self that occurs, or a sacrifice of self that occurs. So, of course, again, take that as it resonates with you, but I feel like the exchange here, right? If you're to sacrifice that control, that comfort, the exchange is, again, experiencing life differently. You have here as well the Knight of Wands, which I find this to be kind of interesting, because the Knight of Wands is an energy of like adventure and enthusiasm and fearlessness, and it's very fast. Okay, it's like fleeting as well, or impulsive. And you have it here in the reverse, which is coming through as this sense of, how do I say this? For some of you, you may be sacrificing your anger. And this could be potentially from trauma, wounding, programming, things that you have held, okay? Which is really interesting because I did see another card several times while I was shuffling from another deck, which is Mars energy. And Mars, in that card specifically, it is, or points out anger and conflict. It's called, what is it? The Great Severing, right? Feeling separate from. And the whole concept is like softening to love. So it's really quite fascinating to me that this would show up. I feel as though there may, again, you may be sacrificing some anger that could have something to do with your trauma, your wounding, your programming, and that may be what you're giving up. I also feel as though there's an energy of fear here in some cases, which again is also something you may be sacrificing. Certainly that can show up in many, many different ways. Sometimes our fears can feel paralyzing, but again, it's that surrender energy, right? Being okay with being uncomfortable, being okay with facing your fears, with releasing control. I also feel with the Knight of Wands, there's an energy of being a bit impulsive. Again, there's that energy of like letting your emotions, okay, kind of rule over you. So, you know, it's coming through in a multitude of ways, and take what resonates with you. But I just feel as though there's this energy of, you know, surrendering that energy. Again, there's this energy of sitting with your emotions, sitting with your intuition, not just brushing it off, not just rushing through it or bouncing from it and, you know, pretending like you don't see it, which is kind of, to be quite honest, this Knight of Wands energy, right? It can be very restless, very like blindly optimistic in some cases, tactless even, irresponsible, you know, but I feel like this is putting you in a position where again, you can sacrifice that and, or surrender it. And it's meant to be moving you in a different direction, which, like I said, the Knight of Wands in the upright is about adventure, right? Fearlessness. It's about being confident and a little bit, let's say, daring, right? You also have here, don't dim to fit in. How are you dimming your light in order to fit in? I have full body chills right now because I feel as though, right, we talked about sacrifice here, and I said, if you stay in this place, again, if you resonate with this, don't take it if it's not yours. But if you stay in this place, there could be a surrender or a sacrifice of yourself, because it feels, you know, as though you are not seeing your true potential. You're not stepping fully into it. So again, I feel as though, you know, part of what you're sacrificing is this smothering of your own truth, this smothering of your own light. So it's a very interesting energy, but it feels very much like what you are sacrificing are the things that are holding you back, that are preventing you from rising, that are preventing you from shining, that are preventing you from seeing your true potential, that are preventing you from creating harmony and balance and peace and love and union within yourself. You know, so the question here, how are you dimming your light to fit in, or in order to fit in, pardon me? Because I feel like this is what you need to be giving up, right? This is what needs to be sacrificed. And because there are 3 individuals on this card, you may be doing this in groups, okay? Or a relationship of some kind, or in, you know, some kind of group setting. It could be like at work, in a family dynamic, a living situation, you know, a relationship of, you know, with your person or something like that. Though that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. It very well could be. Let's put this over here. Hopefully you can still see that. Okay. We have Straight from the Heart. Isn't that interesting? By Rudimental featuring Norskov. Give me your heart. Give me your soul. Give me your mind. I want it all. Give me your pain. I'll give you patience. Every day, whatever it takes, I'll do it all. And oh, I'll be saving it all for you. I believe in it. We're the truth. So it's very interesting. Energy often manifests in my body physically while I'm doing readings. And I feel as though, because my stomach is like growling and it feels like almost like empty stomach kind of energy, I feel as though there's this energy of like emptying yourself out. And here's the thing. I picked this up early on in your reading. I just kind of kept it to myself because I wasn't sure why it was coming through, but now I feel like I know. Some of you may be, I don't know why, but for some of you, there's some kind of fear here as well. But you may have been feeling more called toward Christ or you know, Christ energy, Jesus, you or God, okay? You may have been feeling kind of pulled that way, or feeling like maybe it's keeps showing up in your reality somehow. Because here's the thing. There's a song, or pardon me, the lyrics here. Give me your heart, give me your soul, give me your mind, give me your love. I want it all. Give me your pain. I'll give you patience every day, whatever it takes. Okay? And there is this energy of that Christ consciousness that I was speaking on earlier, because it does require this kind of surrender and sacrifice, okay, where you do, you know, align your heart, your soul, and love with Christ, where you purify your pain through with that energy, okay, you know, and I feel like I don't know why it feels this way, but it feels like you've been trying to carry all the stuff, okay, all on your own. That's not to say that maybe you don't have people in your life who are there for you, who support you, or you know, provide some kind of something for you where you're, you know, they're trying to help you. But I feel as though this is coming through in a way that's, I feel like it's almost like God is trying to show up for you, right? To say, to establish this deep connection with you, so that you are not carrying all the things that you're just not meant to carry, right? There's that purifying of your heart, like releasing yourself from trauma and wounding and things like this, and it can be done, you know, with that Christ impulse within. So it's bringing me to this space. It's really, really bringing me back here to, you know, sacrificing these things that maybe you've been hyper focused on or have been carrying for a long time, which maybe you haven't wanted to see clearly, or have refused to see, or refused to let go of, or something like that. Because, you know, here's the energy, like, I want it all. In other words, you know, give it to me. Allow me to take some of that burden from you, you know. You also have Joy, the Rehab remix by For King and Country, featuring Rehab. I need that joy, 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 joy down in my heart to stay. I need that joy, 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 joy down in my heart to stay. Yeah, it's interesting that you have a lot of this heart-centered energy here. And again, I feel as though there's this aspect of what's coming through for you that's saying, in order to align with that joy, you have to choose it, which means you are going to have to give up the things that do not contribute to that or are not conducive to that concept, right? So I feel like this is so much easier said than done, right? But I feel as though it's very much about, again, getting very, very, very honest with yourself. Okay? Very, very honest with yourself. And deciding and choosing to, how do I say, deciding that you are worthy, seeing your own potential, and aligning with the things that are going to bring you more joy. I mean, you have joy on the card here, another card of joy. I feel like, you know, what you're being asked to give up is meant to be aligning you with more of that for yourself. But it's your choice, right? There are things that you are going to have to sacrifice in order to align with that. And that goes for everyone, Libra. That is not just you. That is every single person on this planet. Okay? So the choice is yours. How can you be of service, Libra? You do have Earth, learning how to be human in the world, but not of it. And this is most certainly, you know, not being too entrenched in the physical world, in the material world, and not being so far up in the clouds that, you know, you're not seeing reality for what it is. This is very much about being balanced between the two, right? You know, having some kind of grounding, some kind of structure where, you know, you are moving in the physical world, but also where you are not neglecting the spiritual aspect of yourself, your soul, your heart, right? The things that aren't very tangible. I feel like for some of you, you've been quite focused on the more earthly things, okay? What makes sense, what's logical, what's practical. For some of you, again, there's that whole concept of, hey, I don't want to move out of this thing. Maybe, again, like a relationship for some of you, where I've spent so much time and so much energy and you know, I've invested all of this into this relationship, and it doesn't seem logical to back out of it, right? Of course, that's accompanied by fears and all sorts of things, but I feel as though, you know, how you can be of service is finding a balance between the two, right? Finding more harmony. I also feel like for some of you, this is also speaking to that harmony between your head and your heart as well. Okay. But it really feels as though, you know, not letting the physical world to weigh too heavily on you, but not letting the spiritual world or your soul self like be too pie in the sky, right, type of thing. And I feel like this is how you can be of service, is by bringing balance to those different aspects of yourself, right? Oh yes, Seven of Swords here. Different tactics, different strategies, coming clean with yourself and rethinking your approach. Again, I feel like this is very much about doing things differently. And this is how you can be of service, pivot, change directions, you know, allow yourself to change your energy, to do something different, to see potential, to move differently, speak differently, think differently, right? And to, again, come clean with yourself. Where have you been, you know, too enmeshed and, you know, maybe blind optimism? Or where have you been too enmeshed and the very physical, logical things, you know? And I feel like this is how you can be of service, is by, you know, being very honest with yourself and bringing balance between those two things. It's a very interesting energy. You also have the King of Pentacles in the reverse, which is, I just want to say, I feel like this is very much about being comfortable. Okay? Because the King of Pentacles in the reverse is an energy of indulgence, of excess. So I feel like there's this energy of like being too comfortable with wherever you are. You know, maybe, I don't know why I'm getting this. Maybe you're somebody who, you know, has been maybe, I'm saying, I want to just make it clear, I'm saying this with so much love, and I'm going to do my best to be very delicate, but you may be somebody who is codependent or tends to be codependent. And so maybe you've been, you know, comfortable and indulging in a situation that is allowing you to feed that. So I'm just the messenger, okay? I'm just the messenger. It feels like some of you have this, how would I say? It feels like that lack, okay, let me back up a little bit. It's like struggling to see the value in yourself, struggling to see the potential in yourself, struggling to love yourself, and being in a situation where somebody like in some way, shape, or form gives that to you. Okay? And I feel like for some of you, even if it's been shaky, or even if it's been unstable, even if it's been a bit chaotic, the moments where that is fed for you, I feel like it's gotten, you may have gotten comfortable there. And I feel like there's a need to recognize this, a need to come clean with self, to see where you have been kind of, for lack of better terms, and again, I'm just the messenger, but have been kind of enabling yourself or feeding your own shadow in some sense. Okay? I don't know why it's coming through that way. Again, take it if it resonates. Let's take a look. I just want to read some of the keywords here from the guidebook on the King of Pentacles, just to give you a little bit more depth. Maybe there's something there that we need to see. Okay, so it says here, obsess, or in the shadow or reverse position, obsessing over riches, seeking status, greed, a need to balance the material with the spiritual, which is exactly what this Earth card is. It's exactly what it is. If I read the guidebook to you, it's exactly what it is. Okay, so it really does feel as though, you know, this is where it's like, this is how you can be of service, is by recognizing that need for balance and moving accordingly, adjusting yourself. Because what does it say here? Learning how to be human, right? In the world, not of it. It's not necessarily about, you know, getting it right away. Like tomorrow you're going to wake up and everything, you know, you'll just suddenly get it. I mean, maybe some of you will, which that'd be great, right? But I feel like it's more about moving differently, right? Like adjusting or pivoting from where you've been moving thus far, and really allowing that change to come in, working on intentionally bringing balance to those things, the spiritual and the material, or the spiritual and the physical. Okay, you also have here the Three of Pentacles. Yeah. And here's what I love about this card showing up for you is teamwork makes the dream work. That's Three of Pentacles. Okay. And I feel as though, how can you be of service? Recognize that you have help. Your guidance is divinely guided. You are the oracle. That is telling me that things are coming through to you, that, you know, source, God, universe, your angels, your guides are trying to help you. They are trying to, you know, help you to weave your tapestry, if you will. But you have to be a contributor. You have to collaborate with the universe. You have to be willing to build something different. And the thing about the Three of Pentacles and the Three of Pentacles is that it's early on, right? You go 1, 2, 3. King of Pentacles is like the bottom of that pentacle suit. And so, you know, it's very interesting to me because I feel like there's this need to not be afraid of starting over. because thus far where it's landed you is not serving you. So there's this like starting over, building together with God, with Source, allowing that to guide you and lead you. And I feel like this is how you can be of service, right? Don't be afraid to wipe the slate clean. Don't be afraid to collaborate with the universe, with God. Don't be afraid to seek those connections or relationships or partnerships that are willing to build with you. Don't be afraid to like hold out for that, if you will, or to start over and seek it. Okay, we also have here for you protection, call back your power, cut the cords, soul retrieval. Yeah. You know, like I was saying here, with bringing consciousness to light, there are things that we hold within our unconscious or subconscious that kind of pull strings from the background, you know. And I feel like, you know, how you can be of service is stepping back into your power, bringing those bits of yourself back home, bringing them to light, and freeing yourself from the things that are not serving you, from the things that are, preventing you from standing in your potential, from stepping into your potential. You know, I feel like this is about you taking control of your own experience. How do I say this? I want to be very intentional. Yes, this is about you being the main character in your own story. Okay? Not so much controlling things, but being the main character in your story, not sitting on the sidelines and letting life just throw you about in the waves. Okay? And I feel like some of you may feel that way. Some of you may feel as though you've been, you know, thrashed about by the current of life without ever really feeling like you've got your feet on the ground. Certainly that may not be true for everyone, right? But it does feel to me as though, you know, how you can be of service is by protecting yourself, protecting your own energy, stepping into your power as the authority of your life. Again, collaborating, co-creating with the universe, with the angels, with your guides, you know, with those beings that we can't see with our physical eyes who are there assisting us, our angels. Okay? Calling back the bits of yourself, protecting your beautiful light. I feel like this is how you can be of service. And I know that may not make a lot of sense right off the cuff, but you know, a lot of the messages that have come through in the Tarotscopes for this month have been about you can be of service by getting back to who you truly are. Every single reading, every single Tarotscope thus far has had that message. You can be of service by being you, and not you through your trauma and your wounding and your programming and what society thinks and what culture thinks and what religion thinks and what your parents think and your person thinks, and you know, but being true, like really getting back to who you are at your soul's truest essence and moving from that, developing that, you know, nurturing that. That is how you can be of service, because when you are your truest self, you move differently in the world. You impact people differently, right? Oh, you have the ever unfolding rose cracked open. It's happening for you, not to you. Yeah, you know, I feel like, again, it's that energy of surrender. If you even look at her, her arms are wide open. Okay? When we look at body language, when somebody is protecting themselves, you know, it's very much like this. You see these individuals here, they're protecting the parts where they could be exposed, vulnerable, right? So like the throat area, for example, if you look at, you know, how we could physically be threatened by that area being exposed, you know, people tend to cross their arms over their chest because they're covering their heart. Okay, these are body parts that can be that are vulnerable to attack, right? But if you look at her, it's all wide open. All of it. And, you know, I feel like there's this energy, again, of surrendering, opening yourself up, being vulnerable, and understanding that this is happening for you. It's not being done to you. You are not being punished. Okay? It's happening for you to move into a truer, purer, more, again, balanced space. And I feel like this is how you can be of service, by allowing yourself to be cracked open, because again, when you are your truest self, you are, how do I say, your impact on others is much different, right? And you can, I mean, you're influencing people all the time, impacting people all the time, even without your knowledge. Your energy alone is impacting people. You don't have to say nothing to them. You don't even have to know them, right? So again, how can you be of service? I feel like this is more, again, about you getting back to who you are, allowing yourself to be cracked open, not being afraid of starting over, not being afraid of like hitting rock bottom, if you will, and allow yourself to be cracked open from that space, because it allows you to rise, building up, creating firm foundations, right? And moving from a very truthful, honest, pure space. Interesting. I must be honest, Libra, your section of this reading, how can you be of service, has been the most interesting thus far. I mean, they've all been quite fascinating to me as a reader, but it's really, really interesting, because it's a similar concept with what others have had coming through, but it's from a very different perspective. So you have here the song Survive, the Please and Thank You remix by Saint Weekend and Max. Now I had excuses. Thought your juice was keeping me alive. Now I see it clearly. You're not near me. I don't need you to survive. So again, it's seeing things differently, rethinking your approach, coming clean, realizing that for some of you, where you have been sitting, you know, you've just been kind of indulging, thinking that you need that, but you don't. And again, like, I'm just the messenger, okay? So how can you be of service is, again, seeing things clearly, letting yourself build for yourself with those that are actually going to see your potential and encourage that and nurture that, but knowing you don't need other people, right? It's finding that wholeness, that fulfillment, that love within yourself, seeing the potential in yourself, right? It's really, really interesting. And for whatever reason, so this card has shown up a couple of times, but I'm being reminded of some of the lyrics just now. I don't know. I can't hear exactly what it's saying, but it talks about, I'm getting fear coming up as well. It talks about manipulation and frustration. And I feel like that may resonate with some of you, because I feel like you've been in situations where you find them to be giving you something, okay? But I feel as though the exchange for that is that, yeah, like, how do I say? It's very much what I was touching on earlier, right? Where you may find yourself fulfilled, or, you know, gaining something, seeing, I don't know what it is, but you may find yourself gaining something, but the cost, if you will, is that you find yourself in situations that where maybe you're being manipulated, or you're frustrated, or you've manipulated yourself and frustrated yourself, right? It feels like it's it just feels like the exchange is incredibly imbalanced. and probably in some ways and in some cases for some, not healthy. Okay. So, what advice is going to best serve you moving forward? You have another heart energy, the cosmic heart, devotion, potency. Make your life a moving prayer. I mean, I think this is really interesting based upon that Christ, Jesus energy I was picking up on earlier. For some of you, maybe this is something you want to explore on a deeper level. And it doesn't have to be from a religious standpoint. You know, there are many teachings out there about Christ and Jesus that are not rooted in, let's say, dogmatic religion. Right? But I feel as though the biggest part of this that's coming through here for me, for you, Libra, in regards to advice that's going to best support and serve you, is to move with your heart. From your heart. What truth? Being devoted to honoring yourself, to honoring your truth, right? To really establish this very strong or potent connection with you and your own heart. Okay? Where you are honoring that. Where you are devoted to honoring that. Right? It's almost like this creating a boundary where it's like, if my heart's telling me no, I'm not going to say yes. Right? Committing, it's like committing to yourself. You know? Like not breaking your own rules. Or crossing your own boundaries, or stepping outside of your values, your morals. Right? And not just those things, of course, but I mean with everything, right? There's this advice to really create that deep connection, nurture that connection between you and your soul, you and yourself, your truth, your heart, and to move accordingly without wavering from that. Like I just got the word consistency. You have here as well, you got the love, Hadarian energy, codependency, boundaries. You really can't make this stuff up. I mean, I was picking up on boundaries, you know, already, or pardon me, codependency already. And then just now, a moment ago, boundaries. And here it is showing up and, you know, in print. So again, you know, I feel as though the advice is going to best support you is to understand you don't have to seek love outside of yourself. You don't have to give and give and give, you know, without any boundaries. It's not that's not what this is about. You are love. You are the physical embodiment of love. You have love. You are loved. You are lovable, right? You don't have to prove that to anyone except yourself. Right? And I mean, I wouldn't even say it thus far, or you know, sometimes I wouldn't even necessarily go that far, because regardless of whether you believe it or not, you are loved. You are lovable. Right? So I just want to pop into the book here and just read this because I feel like it's super relevant and will maybe help a little bit for those who need it. But I don't know that I'm going to read the whole thing because I think it talks about that, the Hadarians. And I don't know that that's going to necessarily help, but let's see. That's not the right one. There it is. Okay. Maybe I will. Okay, so here we go. Ready? Advice that's going to best support and serve you moving forward. The Hadarians are believed to be beacons of pure, divine, unconditional love, who see love in all people and situations. As a result, they can find it hard to have boundaried, interdependent, healthy relationships because they only see the unconditional nature of those they meet. The lovers of the cosmos, they dive in fast. They're here to learn how to love while in a separate body, to learn self-love first, and then establish healthy relationships with others. To remember that the love they seek is already within them. That they truly do have the love all on their own. The message of this card is to review the ways you may need to establish healthier boundaries. Perhaps you're in a codependent relationship in which you may be losing your sense of self. It's common for starseeds to dive deep into relationships, particularly, with those who feel safe and familiar at a soul level. Perhaps you're in a relationship in which you give more than you receive, or perhaps there's a certain volatile. Oh my gosh, why can I not say this word right now? I can't. I don't know why I can't say it. For whatever reason, I can't. Volatility. You guys forgive me, my mouth doesn't want to work right now. But it says, perhaps you're always unsure where you stand. This card is a sign to do a relationship review and see what energetic agreements you've made, consciously or unconsciously. To acknowledge if there are relationships in which you feel anxious or powerless, in which you don't feel like it's safe to relax and just be you. To assess if there are any places of inadequacy that you've used a relationship to soothe and cover up, right? So it was already an energy I was picking up on before we even got here. And I feel like, you know, this is the advice that's best supporting you, is as I was saying, right? To really sit with yourself and get very, very truthful. You have here as well, earth pulsing, pulse of the mother, slow down, time in nature, which is again very interesting because you have this impulsive kind of energy here. There's the energy of needing to sit with your emotions, to maybe not rush through them or push them aside or ignore them, or, you know, whatever intuitive hit you're getting, right? To slow down. And I feel like, should you allow yourself to do that, I feel like, again, I feel like you're going to gain a sense of clarity, especially if all of this is resonating with you. Right? Or if there have been aspects that are resonating, I feel like the advice here is for you to really kind of pause, to really give yourself the opportunity to look at things from a different perspective. Right? Part of the description for this card in the guidebook talks about the whispers of earth. Okay? And I feel like this is coming through as allowing, like I said earlier, your intuition to speak to you. But I feel like if you're jumping from thing to thing to thing, if you are, you know, always, what is the word I'm looking for? Stimulated, thank you. If you're always stimulated with noise can be actual noise like TV, music, you know, those sorts of things, games, other people, you know, but if you're always keeping your mind full of noise and you're not giving yourself the opportunity to really listen to your inner self, you know, we can find ourselves just, you know, being kind of, I don't want to say oblivious, because I feel like to some degree or another, for some, there's a knowingness within this, but, you know, we can kind of just hide it, if you would, or ignore it because we're just kind of pushing it off to the side, right? So again, I feel like slowing down is what's going to best support and serve you moving forward, because I feel like it's going to help you to really get a clear, or rather to gain clarity on a lot of things that maybe you weren't before. Ooh, you also have the Queen of Wands, which is beautiful. I love the Queen of Wands energy, especially in this deck. It is very much a courageous, fiery, lively, passionate, independent kind of energy. And, you know, we've already talked here about codependency more than once. And, you know, the Queen of Wands is that she's shining her light all on her own. She doesn't need anybody else. She's got her faithful little cat there, you know, her friend kind of warding off all negativity. And she's just living in her own little bubble, living in her own world. right? Confident in who she is, loving who she is. Again, independent. Okay? This energy is very self-assured. And it's loving life wholeheartedly, right? It's, you know, moving through life with passion and joy and confidence and courage. And I feel like this is the position that you're trying to be moved into, right? I feel like, again, that advice that's going to best support and serve you is to do the things necessary in order to get into that way of being where you are independent, where you are confident, where you are courageous, where you're self-assured, where you're, you know, full of enthusiasm for life, where you're energetic, where you wholeheartedly love yourself, right? Where you see your own light. If you look here, she's, I don't know if you guys can see that, but she's holding light in her hand, right? And smiling. It's like, I see my own fire and I love it. Okay. I see my own light and I love it. Okay. Oh, you also have birthing a new age, birthing new creations, dreaming a new world into being. And I love this because it's very much the energy that we've been picking up on, you know, where again, I feel like you're being positioned to move into a new space where you're experiencing things very differently. Where you're meant to be, you know, kind of rising up. I also feel as though, you know, there's this energy that we got over here is like being cracked open or hitting rock bottom and not being afraid to start new, start fresh, right? And here is that energy again. But this is, you know, birthing a new age, birthing a new way into being, experiencing something very different from a much different place. I love this for you, Libra. I mean, it does feel like November is, you know, and the things that are coming to light may be a bit of a challenge. They may be a bit heavier. It may be a bit more difficult or challenging to navigate, but it is not impossible. And if it's showing up for you, it is not showing up for no reason. It's showing up because you have the potential within you to move through it, to navigate it, and to come out the other side victorious or triumphant over your own shadows, over your own things, and to step into something new. So finally for you, oh, this is interesting. You have the song Manifest by Russ. Moving to the rhythm of my intuition. Anything I want, I speak into existence. That's how I'm living. That's how I'm winning. So, I mean, I feel like this is a really strong message encouraging you to trust your intuition, to move with it, to allow it to guide you and lead you. Okay? Not only that, but to use your power, and you do have this power, as a co-creator of your reality, to align with what you want and to step away from what you don't. If the goal is freedom, for example, anything restrictive needs to go. That's not to say you might not need some structure and things like that, okay, again, but, you know, and if the goal is to be who you truly are, then it's freeing yourself from the things that are not going to allow that to happen, to manifest, right? So I want to be very clear, because I think that how do I say this? In some cases, we're under this misconception that following your intuition means just sitting on the couch and expecting God's going to drop everything at your front door. That is not how this works. Okay? That's not how this works. Your intuition works in some ways. Yeah, you're meant to be sitting still. But your intuition works in such a way where when you feel called to move, to go somewhere, to take action, you do. So if your intuition is like, hey, go down the block to this place, and you're like, well, I don't need to go there. I don't have no reason for going there. Why the hell am I going there? It's not about sitting on it. It's about going there because you feel called to go there. And sometimes you do that and other things unfold because you followed that intuitive hit. So for example, if you're like, ooh, I need a new job, one that's going to better suit me, better serve me, that's going to utilize my talents, and all of a sudden you get this intuitive hit to go down the block to that place, and you go, and they have a job opening are you catching on what I'm saying? It's not about, you know, sitting just, like I said, waiting for God to drop everything at your front door. No. You know, there's this collaboration, this co-creative collaboration between you and the universe, God, source, whatever you call it. So it takes you moving as well. It takes you putting in effort as well. Not only effort, but giving permission. Okay? So I just felt like I needed to clarify that. I don't know why. But again, I feel like, you know, the advice that's going to best support and serve you moving forward is to move to the rhythm of your intuition, as it says here. And trust in yourself and in God and in source and in universe that you're going to be exactly where you need to be. Okay? Wow, Libra, that was a pretty intense reading, but I pray that something here has been helpful or valuable to you as you navigate the month of November. If something here has resonated for you, please do the YouTube things by liking, sharing, subscribing, or commenting below. Any of those things, I truly, truly appreciate you doing. It does help the channel to grow by telling YouTube that there may be something valuable here for someone else. So again, I'm very, very grateful for that. It also helps me as a reader, so I appreciate you so very much. I pray that November for you is one of epiphanies, of bringing unconscious things to light, and of you seeing your own potential, recognizing that you are much stronger than you realize, and you have everything you need at your disposal in order to step into a more truthful, honest space where you are able to move from your soul, move from your heart, where you are able to honor and trust what you feel within, knowing that you don't need anyone to validate you. Take care of your growing, evolving, honest, truthful, beautiful soul. Peace be with you and within you, and I hope to see you on the next video. Bye.